For the latest top tips, reviews and advice, please subscribe below.
Hello and welcome to Attwoolls Outdoors with me, Mike, telling you guys a bit of sort of a walkthrough video on kind of a camping setup. So giving you an idea, hopefully, of what to expect or other ideas that you may not come across. Different ways of doing things as well. And there's probably a few things in here that maybe you didn't think about or wasn't aware of. And it might just take that sort of home away from home to that next level for when you take it away. So with me here, I'm actually in kind of the Van Gogh Ventalis TC, so it's a sort of really nice sizable 6-person tent, polycotton of course. So it's got a good amount of room for each section. So we've got sort of the cooking section in front, we'll call it, living area, and then also the sleeping area. So there's lots of different spaces and different tents of course, and you can always customize to whatever kind of setup you've got back at home. But let's pick up the camera and have a little look through our virtual home for the time being. So, the first section I say this ideally sort of more for the sort of cooking or prepped area. With the flexibility, you can always make this kind of your outside seated area you really wanted to. With me, I've sort of got this door shut initially, but if we're using sort of gas appliances, really we'll make sure that front door is open and the divisional door is closed. Just make sure, because if we're using gas, we're producing carbon monoxide, so we want that well ventilated to get everything out there. With me, I've got sort of like a little kitchen unit. Various different versions of these, depending on what you want. Always recommend something maybe with a solid top, just to make it a bit more stable. And then under compartments always works well, or a side table with, again, compartments to store your sort of cooking kit, your cutlery, that sort of stuff works nicely. I've got a little jerry can located down there as well, just because it's easier for you cooking directly for kettles and pots and pans and that sort of stuff. It makes it more convenient. And again, you've got a bit of storage underneath. Burners wise, I would go for something like a 2-burner, possibly with a grill if you're going to do toast. That works out nicely. The Combi grill I got here is probably one of my personal favourites, just because it's got like an infrared grill, so it's sort of like, I use the term like a kebab kind of style, where it radiates heat evenly, so you get a good cooking a good toasting of the toast, I'd probably say. Kettle wise, gas kettles are really nice. Is a much of muchness. This one I've got one here is collapsible, and that's one thing you'll see definitely with more the cookware you time to go for, or even things like bowls or cutlery. You can get collapsible stuff, so it means that you use a lot less space, but you still get the functionality of it really. There's been a real big resurgence really in the last few years for sort of collapsible stuff, just because it is, you can pack it away a lot smaller. Now, we've got kind of just 2 units of a bit of a prep area, if you will. Chopping board, chopping knife, a little drainer, a wash bowl with a brush as well, just to kind of do everything you need to do, so you can be self-sufficient, which is the key thing currently with obviously COVID and all this lot. Little storage unit behind. Storage is a key thing. Having lots of it makes a big difference. I have got a little windshield located on the actual cooker as well, just to kind of deflect any of the wind coming around that flame, especially with gas. A lot of people ask turning to sort of electric alternatives, because with electric now you kind of have on site, so why not use it if you're paying for it anyway? With these sort of things, you want to make sure you use low wattage appliances, mainly because the power you get on a campsite is not necessarily the same power you get at home. So even things like hair straighteners or TVs or any of these sort of normal household products you would bring into camping, you've got to make sure it's low wattage. Things like kettles, for example, it will take longer, but you can actually use it. You're not going to say trip everyone out on the campsite and then be, not being everyone's good books, to be fair. So again, because you've got it, might as well use it. So there's a range of sort of 2 hobs you can buy, toasters, cookers, that sort of stuff. So almost like caravan and appliances. And that's where it's kind of going these days, with kind of glamping rather than sort of traditional camping, as I certainly knew it as a kid, let alone before my time. What I've done here is I've got a little Padres outwell thing, so really nice. You've got a little drawer, which you can basically take that out. It tucks it in, keeps it all neat and tidy, and then also you've got a little cool box here above it, again trying to keep everything all in the bay. So it just means that utilising space, you're not having to have a separate place for the cool box. And ideally, if you have something cool box, it's better to have it maybe something outside area. You want it in a cooler area, just means it hasn't got to work as hard. And we've got a separate kind of video on kind of cool boxes and different ones and the best for you, so you can always check that out. Now we're going to the sort of main living area. First thing I've got located is a little doormat. brilliant sort of thing really is because I always can see this as being really your sort of wet dry area, your passageway into the tent, whether it be through the side door or for the front door. You can put your sort of muddy shoes and leave them in here, or you haven't got to worry about traipsing all in. Same for the kind of this area here. I've got a ground sheet folded in half down there just to stop the water coming, well, the moisture coming up from the ground. But really, this whole area I consider sort of a wet dry area. So if you spill anything, it doesn't matter. But I put a ground sheet down for the time being. Now, because we're coming into our lovely clean area, I want to make sure everyone's got, not bring the muddy shoes in. So again, you can just wipe your feet, come into the nice carpet area and got there, worry about cleaning the carpet area all the time. And you can utilise certain things like this little storage organiser. This one's from Vango. Nice and neat, very simple, just 2 poles, and suddenly you've got not only maybe somewhere for shoes, but clothing and that sort of stuff. It doesn't take a lot of space. And if you look at the profile of it, you're not really eating up too much space. It's quite low that you can actually look out through the window, not have to worry about sort of obstructing your view as you look in. But then it's again, the doormat's always nice and cozy and helps that sort of home away from home feel. Now we're kind of in the main living area. I've got sort of tables and chairs set up, some melamine set, and some really nice ranges of melamine these days. Perfect for that sort of thing. I would say things like the cups, they're not designed really for hot water, ironically. If you're having a hot tea in them, I would recommend definitely let the kettle boil, sit for a little bit, then pour the tea. Otherwise, you find sometimes you can crack the melamine, as stupid as it sounds. Tables wise, really nice sort of simple table. Hard tables are probably where everyone's seems to be going these days. Something with a solid top, not going to fold in the middle, nor aluminium slat. Something solid, really nice. Get this kind of granite kind of patterns or bamboo kind of patterns. It makes it lightweight. Immediately, something like the size of this is a bit bigger, on the bigger side of the scale, but you can happily sit 4 around it if you really want to. Adjustable legs is always quite a nice feature as well. That way you've got uneven ground, and this kind of design where you've got legs that kind of push away to the middle, it tends to be a bit more solid than just the sort of simple drop down leg. Chair wise, I would probably recommend getting your own chairs. I'm not personally the biggest fan of a chair set with a table, just because I find they're not the most comfiest, depending on what they are, mostly made out of plastic. But something like having your own chairs, you can chop and choose your comfort level as well. Plus, you want to use them in the garden for barbecues and that sort of stuff, or take them out. So having them detached works best. Immediately, it's more bulky, but you benefit from the fact you get a lot more versatility, and you can change it over time and not have to change the sort of table as well. Storage unit is always quite a nice thing. Storage is key when you're going camping. Keep it all organised and keep everything all decluttered from the main body of the tent. A little bin's located there, and if you're lucky enough to have a little side storage pod like I've got here, it's a perfect way to get rid of the crap. Chuck everything out there. You've got a little divider, so you don't have to see it all. And again, it just means that you can live in your living area rather than trip over everything. Again, you can also use a toilet. So the benefit is if you've got little kids, or even if you don't want to walk in the middle of the night straight over to the toilet block, you can go quite happily in there in the safety of your own toilet, or your own sort of tent. So that's where side pods come in quite handy. Storage is definitely the theme, and so little sort of storage organisers that hang directly down. So in the Vango here, I've got something from the Skytrack. It means that again you can declutter the main part of your tent, and it's only sort of sitting in front of the front door. So really, it's utilising sort of space that you wouldn't really have. So it just helps to sort of put things like keys, books, even toilet roll, or just stuff that you don't want lying around. Really, so that makes a sort of a big thing. Lighting wise, we've been quite clever, and we've used these kind of flexible lights. So this is the Vango Sunbeam Flexi Light. Comes with remote control, but it allows lighting directly down without having to constantly have little kind of table lanterns or hanging lanterns, really, so you go smack your head on it. Me being quite tall, it does become a bit of a burden, and this for me looks really seamless, and you can alter the brightness of it, which works really well. Personally, I really do like these, and we've kind of got linked up with this Skyliner inside the Ventanis, and it kind of again fits that kind of sheeted feel. So you've almost got the curtain material on the roof to help with condensation, but it reminds me a bit of like having a den as a kid, where you create it with a duvet. Same kind of thing, that homey kind of cozy feel, which is what you want when you're camping. I've mocked up a little kind of pole here as well, literally just a pole and a bit of cord onto the Skytrack, so you can hang things like your drying table towel, or just drying your clothes, wetsuits and that sort of stuff. Ideally, probably do it in the front area if you can get away with it. But again, a bit of a different idea, something you can do a bit of DIY kind of style. Bedding wise, we're looking at sort of 3 different versions here, and I've done again a separate video on bedding, so you can always check that out. We've got self-inflating mats, quite happily nice double there. An actual camp bed with a topper just to kind of make it a bit more comfier, and a bunkie bed. The key with these kind of bunkie beds or anything with frames where it comes up off the ground is to make sure you've got enough depth at the back, or you've got to try and rotate the bed around sideways. This being the Ventanis, you've got like a 250 deep, so it's ridiculously deep, which means it's perfect sort of bunkie beds. And again, there's a great use of space that your kids can fight over who wants to be in the top bunk, but you can fit 2 people in a smaller size bedroom. And that works quite nice and neatly, and it means you've still got a bit of area for the clutter to be just chucked in out of the way. With storage underneath the bedrooms is always quite nice, so you can get a little side table in there, so you can utilise the main sort of spaces. So hopefully giving you guys a bit of a few ideas. We've also got a mains cable, so that's our mains reading in. Like I said, everything wants to be low wattage rather than your main sort of stuff. But with most tents these days, you've got multiple entry points, so you can kind of feed through the cable wherever you see fit, really. But yeah, that gives you a little bit of a, hopefully, like a Pinterest kind of inspiration to different things you can do with it. And again, you know, you can make it whatever you want it to. This is just one of our sort of idea. We do have an actual camping checklist in a link below this video that will take you through kind of a mixture of things that you require. So we do have like break it down to like essentials list, things like obviously the tents, mallet, pegs, you know, pump for the air bear, sleeping bags, pillows, and medication, and so forth. So, and then we do it sort of down by cooking, general stuff, miscellaneous stuff, personal care, you know, possible additions like the larders and barbecue and electric hookup and all this lot. Of course, food and drink. So it's got a bad little basis to start yourself on and see kind of where you go from there. But of course, if any more questions, feel free to comment in the box below, or let us know, you know, what you have in your kind of your setup and what you do like and what you don't like, or any ideas is always greatly appreciated. We love to feed off these sort of things. So yeah, this is a bit of an idea to get your home away from home.